Hi, I'm Pav.
And I'm Neil.
And welcome to the Top 10 of Anything podcast.
Let's start the countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Now, if you are of a certain age, you'll remember, I'm sure, that feeling when you got your pocket money or your allowance, raced to the nearest record shop and purchased the latest album from your favourite band or artist. Your money would not just be paying for the vinyl, but sometimes for the glorious artwork on the album cover. Some covers are more iconic than others. As with many things, fashions come and go, and with vinyl making a comeback, the amazing album cover could still be a thing. Here's Fact Hunter Neil with 10 album cover facts.
Thank you very much, Pav. So what I have for you is a group of music industry experts, journalists, in conjunction with Rolling Stone's readers, have created the list of their own best album covers. So do you want to know what they are?
Go on then, Neil.
Here we go. So at number 10, it's the Velvet Underground. And Velvet Underground and Nico, it's the classic Banana. Just the Banana. And then at number 9, we have Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. We went to the studio lot where they shot that picture, didn't we, Pav, in LA? It's
We
the
did.
two guys burning, for your information, Pav. And number 8, it's Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run.
Oh, Born to Run. Okay, right.
Yeah. And number 7, the Beatles, Revolver. And then at number 6, the Rolling Stones, Sticky Fingers. And then number 5 was the Clash, London Calling. Number 4, the Beatles, Abbey Road. Number 3, Nirvana, Nevermind. Number 2, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. That's the Prism Path. And number 1 is the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's.
Wow.
So that's with everybody putting their input in. So would you argue with many of those?
Everybody, who is everybody?
Well, it was opened up. It was a poll. So with experts, industry experts, journalists, and readers of the Rolling Stone magazine.
That is the boringest top 10 I've ever heard in my life. And one of them is in my top 10.
I was going to say,
I've got a
David,
couple.
you haven't heard my top 10 yet, so before you
Oh
say
my God. I'm sorry.
that is, ladies and gentlemen, our guest for this evening. I get a feeling, now, not normally do I say you should watch this on YouTube, but I get a feeling that to get an idea of who our guest is, somebody who is obviously a connoisseur of vinyl albums, all the way from California. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome David Diaz.
Thank you very much. I am very honored and appreciative to be on the podcast. I have, obviously, I'm a latecomer. I just started watching. As soon as I heard of your podcast with Bean and Allie, I wanted to come do it. I am the founder and admin of Teabaggers on Facebook, which is the fan page on Facebook for a cup of tea and a chat with Allie and Bean. Yes, I am a connoisseur of albums. Most of my albums I've had for around 35 years, I would say.
Yeah.
So one of the top 10s you have is actually my top 7. So I'll probably put it down to 10 so you can see the other ones. And but I by trade, I'm a landscaper, and I lived in California my entire life, and I've been to every continent except for Antarctica. And my weirdest thing about me is that I have 4 children, and I think they're going to eat me alive one day. Other than that,
David, let me ask you, how many vinyl do you have in your collection?
I'm about 2/3 of the way through putting my Discog out. There's a very popular cataloging app called Discogs, DIS Cogs, and with an S at the end. You can just scan your album, and if it doesn't have a you're not going to be able to see it, are you? Maybe
Probably
I don't
not
know.
quite,
Oh yeah, real
Oh
close.
no, I think you did.
That's
right.
That's
Okay.
where I'm at right now.
Can't
Oh, my
quite
Lord.
see that, but yes, amazing.
So
That's
my
awesome.
medium is worth about 30,715, and I have 1,076 albums in already, and I still have like under this rack, which is a rack that I got from one of my best friends that he procured from Tower Records in Hollywood.
Right.
Oh wow.
So this has history in it already. But this one alone holds 750. And inside of it, I have 2 boxes. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 crates, plus an entire row over there. And then I have a storage room that has a bunch that I haven't cataloged yet.
Oh,
Wow,
my
that's
Lord.
a collection, isn't it? I'd
There
love
you
to
go.
come
And
and
I
rummage.
sell and raffle them off for charity too. So I started doing because I have a lot of doubles and triples. I'm very OCD, and there's a album that I like. I'm not because I'm describing myself as OCD. I've been diagnosed with OCD and take medication for it. And when I see an album that I like, especially if it's a rare one, I'll buy it and I'll keep buying it and I'll buy it over and over and over again. So I have like 4 copies of The Clash, London Calling, because that's that's the bands that I like. I'm by nature a punk rocker, but I've collected a large catalog of music just because you can't have punk rock without rock and roll, jazz, rap. I mean, the mentality of punk rock comes from a universal knowledge that music is the complete equalizer. Everybody loves music. Everybody has some sort of connection through their life with music. If you right now say EMF, unbelievable, you guys are thinking, I know, and you guys are around my age, I'm guessing, and I know you guys are thinking, oh shit, I remember being in high school, listen to, she's unbelievable.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it was
universal.
always more relevant for us because they were local, really.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's a teacher now. He's a teacher now, correct, in the UK, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Goodness
that's how I think of music. There's portions in your life that you get them, and these are art pieces. Everything from the newest version of Rocket from the Crypt to Sturgill Simpson's VMP collection in blue. I think this is in blue wax. Sturgill Simpson decided to make his hits into bluegrass. And that's this album. It's one of the most popular albums there is. And there's volume 1, volume 2, ska, punk rock, Snoop Dogg, Say Anything soundtrack, Willie Nelson, Stone Temple Pilots Unplugged. I collect everything. I believe that music sings to us.
So it's obviously been hard for you to narrow down to 10.
So I am officially asking you guys to change the name from top 10 to top 55 because I think I got good 55 we can work with.
Well, we'll get on to our merch dealers and see if they can sort out all our t-shirts and everything. I'm gonna have to change my cap as well. It'll have to be 55.
Yeah.
Before we actually get down to starting our countdowns, we just want to say somebody that Dave knows as well, Jen Berg, want to say get well soon. We hope that you're resting well. She's had a little bit of time in hospital, so please look after yourself, Jen. We can't wait to chat to you soon because
we have had some good news. I am in a lot of the messenger chats, and she's doing well, and hopefully hopefully her stay will be a good news that she comes out and she's well and healthy.
Exactly.
So that's something that we're definitely rooting for, and we have a Christmas card exchange. Well, now I am starting to do postcards with Allie and Bean. Get well, you're a teabagger. So now we're doing it to people before they need a little pick me up. And I know it sounds completely cheesy, but I think in the world that we live in today, we need that. We need a lot of care and cheesiness. And
completely agree.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to mention and say get well soon, Jen. We also just want to mention hello to DM, Philip Ramos, Chris Wailenga, and Kim Peniston, who are our new Patreon toppers. I think we called them, didn't we, Neil?
Thank you very much, guys.
So thank you very much to you guys as well. Right. onto the news, onto the main event. I feel that both yourself and Neil will look at my top 10 and say that is boring. But I'm a boring person when it comes to listening to music. I honestly am. What you just said about your collection, Dave, I mean, God, there's a lot of stuff there that I would never listen to or haven't recognized.
I'm going to be very shocked if you don't have at least a Star Wars soundtrack in your collection. I'll be very shocked.
I'm trying to keep
vinyl?
away. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah. Not only is it on vinyl, I just traded an album for it is between us, a Weird Al, a Star Wars OBI strip Japanese soundtrack, and I can't remember what else, but something else that's all being an alley centric, right. And those are going to go inside of the mystery box for our meetup.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So
That's
I'm going
nice.
to, it's incredibly popular. And when you play at home, if you have a good system and you put it on and there's no cracks and there's no dings,
yeah,
and you hear dum, dum, dum. Oh,
it's
it chills. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Absolutely. Right then, David, give us your number 10. What are you going to go for as your number 10 album cover?
These are in order. Probably there's a few that shouldn't go here, but
okay,
these are in order. And what I decided to do was number 10, Velvet Underground and Nico.
That is my number 9, David.
This is the second pressing. It is a German second pressing too. They only come in the blue cover. The original comes in all white with the Andy Warhol yellow banana. But the blue one here, the international version, I liked a lot because it has all of the side notes and notes from the band. Even though they're in German, I think that the blue has a sense of melancholy to it. I'm a artist also by nature. My wife is, my kids are all do art. And when you look at Andy Warhol's paintings, you get a sense of his mood. And the estate, when they do the reissues, they do the covers. And wow, some of them are really beautiful. The all yellow with white banana, the white, there's so many different variations. If you haven't sought it out, I implore you to. It's incredibly beautiful. And it's in its simplicity. That album shows a lot. That one banana shows a lot, especially just because it's a Andy Warhol. Yeah, great. He was their creative manager. He managed them. He encouraged Velvet Underground to get with Nico. He is the basis of that music and what came from it. Yes, Lou Reed is a genius, musical genius. I agree 100%. Andy Warhol was an artistic force for them.
Right. Go on then, Neil. Why was it your number 9?
Well, let me just give you a bit of a background. I really struggled to pick 10 album covers. So what I thought is I go for album covers that I still have either a picture in a frame, the album cover in a frame, or a poster in a frame. And I'm a bit like David said, I'm mesmerized by the picture of that one. It's not only is it a great album, it's also that it's just, you can't stop looking at it for its simplicity. It's a great thing to look at, especially if you get a bigger copy of it. You are. I mean, David's just shown you that you've seen the original, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
I just think it's a great. It's a masterstroke for something so simple.
And not only is it simple, he didn't just put a cartoonish banana. He painted the edges, the way. I mean, you look into it and you're thinking that was done on purpose.
Yeah. And I just think it's a great picture. Great picture. It adorns the wall in my bedroom.
Not the first time you've had a banana in your bedroom, is it, Neil?
Ba-boom.
There you go. I'll ding that one. Okay, right. Now let me explain as well. We tend to try and not say iconic on this podcast, but pretty much all of my decisions that I've had for my top 10 are iconic ones. And like I say, they're not particularly, I don't think they're going to be, it's not going to shake any feathers, I don't think, my top 10. I think they're going to be pretty, like I say, vanilla. But saying that, they're also ones that, a bit like Neil said about the banana, that you can't take your eyes off it. You look at iconic images, shapes on I think that's what makes a good album cover. Is something, like you say, if you just said to somebody, oh, the album cover is a picture of a banana, people are going to go, well, what? That's nothing. But then it's something that draws your eye in. It's something that keeps you looking at it. And I can remember my number 10 is Born in the USA, Bruce Springsteen, because it always looked to me like a weird, why are you not seeing the guy's face? Why has he got his back to you and all you can see is the guy's ass? And
the bandana.
Sorry?
The bandana.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have a bandana in his back pocket?
I think it's like that, or a cap or something. But then I was reading into it. I can remember, and they were saying that was there controversy because it was supposed to be, he was supposed to be pissing over the American flag, because his right hand, you can't see his hand. It's sort of tucked in front of him. No, I don't know. Was that true, David? Was that?
I know very little of Bruce Springsteen.
Right.
What I remember of it, and of that story of that, and I heard through hearsay, wasn't that he was pissing on it, but it was so much as he was giving him the a crotch grab.
Right.
Like a take this.
Right. Okay.
It wasn't a disrespect. It was more of a I'm tired of you.
Right.
Be better.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, it's a striking image, and I wasn't really a massive Springsteen fan when that album came out, but from that album was when I sort of started getting into Bruce Springsteen. But it's that was mine. So Neil, sorry, I never asked you what your number 10 was. Apologies.
Mine is Pink Floyd. Wish You Were Here. I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan. I'm not going to use the I word, but that is a really, really visually stunning picture.
So explain it.
So if you basically, they're in the Paramount studio lot down the street, and there's two stuntmen on fire, shaking hands is basically all it is. But it really is a stunning picture. And again, a great album. If you've never listened to it, I'd highly recommend it. I love the imagery on that. It's hard to describe why, but it's of a flare, it's the fire. There's danger, but there's calm in amongst the danger. But yeah, it's a great album cover to me. And also, I mean, those are the days where you had the wonderful gatefold sleeves where you put the album on. I mean, obviously, I didn't buy it when it was first issued. I bought it in sort of the early to mid 80s. And you'd sit and you could open the album, you could read the sleeve notes, like David said. And it was an event, wasn't it, when you got these albums, that you would listen to the album, you'd be staring at the lyrics if it were in there, or whatever notes, the pictures, and stare at that for a whole album. Did you used to do that, you guys? Or
yes.
David probably still does, but
my first one that I remember, and yes, I still do it. The first one that I remember was Led Zeppelin IV.
Right.
It opens up like a centerfold to a wizard on a mountain.
That's it.
And it's the full scale. There's nothing on it. When you look at it and you want to put it up in a frame, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. And only the first edition comes that way. The second edition is different.
Yeah.
And when you close it at the old man, and he's bent over, and it shows a lot. What's really amazing is when you take the sleeves out, the inner sleeves are gorgeous. Right. It has the 4 symbols on it with all of the lyrics on both sides, and it's a double album, so it's wow. I have 3 versions of it, so whenever I like, that's one of the ones that wows me, and it's not even in my top 10.
Wow.
I mean, I can still feel the excitement when you got the album, you got it home, you took the cellophane off, and you opened it, and you pulled the album out for the first time. Oh,
I don't agree with you there. I rarely take the cellophane off.
different.
And that the reason that being that is one, it loses value. If you can have it in the original shrink, that's what we call it in the US, the shrink. If you can have it in the original shrink, it increases the value to it because it means something. The corners are perfect, increases the value. It's crazy how much collectors love the covers, considering that the wax is the important part.
Yeah.
But you can have a player copy. That's what we call them, player copies. If you can have a player copy that you use on a regular basis that has a lot of cracks and maybe a skip, but it doesn't mess up the audio. And a lot of times people, even when it is a little messed up, will take a toothpick to it. But you have it and you play it, it still doesn't screw with the value if the cover is pristine.
Right.
So I don't know why it's like that. I'm more interested in the wax looking pretty. It can come in a plastic bag and shrink wrap. If the wax plays perfect, I'm a happy camper.
Yeah.
You know.
Right then, David, you're number 9. What have you chosen for your number 9?
For my number 9, I chose something a little bit more British. All right. This is the Feeding of the 5,000. Okay. If you guys know who the Crass is, obviously, right?
I've heard of them. I've heard of them. I wouldn't say I know any of their stuff. No.
Okay. Well, the Crass is mainly a British anarchy punk band. And their covers are all artistic pieces of times of revolution, times of decay, having to do things for your country, not for the government.
Yeah.
And they're anarchists, but the beauty in the cover, in the systematic, we are here as people and not as an overseeing government, is so gorgeous. And it's the travesty inside of these beautiful paintings as you look at it, you can see details all the way into the corners of the boy reading a book and the soldiers and the mannequins and the people burning. It is so iconically beautiful that, and this is like a second printing. They didn't have the band on the first one. All you saw was the artwork in the first edition, and to see it, it's like, that's art.
Yeah,
that's gorgeous, beautiful art with a message.
And that's the sort of thing that would be lost if you're looking at that on a tape or a CD cover, isn't it? It's when you see it on an album cover.
I have it on CD, and you're right. It's very hard to look at on CD and say, oh, this is something interesting. When CDs came out, I have, I don't know, maybe 2,000 CDs somewhere in a bucket. Yeah. But now most of the time when I listen to music, I don't listen to them on vinyl. I listen to it on my phone.
Yeah.
On YouTube Music, which is incredibly easy to anybody to access. And when I come home and I listen to wax, to me, it's a different experience. And you love the sound that comes from these. They come in 180 grams. That's an incredibly heavy album. The original ones that came out were barely 50.
Right.
And the biggest that I think ever I've seen was 700 grams, which is thick. And they only make like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah. Wow. Goodness me.
Wow.
Right. So, Neil, you said Velvet Underground for your number 9. My number 9, I did a little bit of research because I was trying to find something a bit more interesting or edgy to go in my top 10. And mine from a group, again, Neil, which are local, XTC. From just down the road. And it was an album from 1978 called Go To.
Okay.
And the reason I chose this is because the album cover is basically a black album cover with nothing but writing on it. I'll read a little bit of it. Basically it's black with white writing, typewriter writing, and it basically says, "This is a record cover. This writing is the design upon the record cover. The design is to help sell the record. We hope we draw your attention to it and encourage you to buy the record." And that's what it basically does. It tells you what the record cover is for. It's just hilarious. And when you know, like Andy Partridge, isn't it, who was the lead singer of
that's right.
XTC, and his sort of humor, very West Country England kind of humor. I thought it was, I've never seen this album cover before, and I thought, what a little bit of genius. It's almost, when you read it, it reminds me a little bit of like the opening scene of Trainspotting with the Choose Life, that kind of thing. So obviously people watching it on YouTube will see the cover. I'll put the cover up. Anybody that's listening to this, I would suggest get Google, and when we tell you the album cover, just pop it up on Google and have a look so that you can see. Obviously David's been very kind in showing us the album covers, so that saves me a heap load of editing post-production. So David, thank you for that.
Oh, it's reversed on mine. Can you read the titles and everything?
Yeah, we can see them all. Good. Yeah, it's all good. So that's my number 9, Go To by XTC. So David, your number 8, please. What's your 8? Operation Ivy. Okay.
Now, if you've never heard of Operation Ivy, this is how the story goes. When the Clash was interviewed and they said, "Where do you get your inspiration from?" Joe Strummer said, "I just wanted to play music like Bob Marley." When Tim Armstrong and Jesse, God, I can't remember his name, Tim and Jesse from Operation Ivy, later on in years were asked, "Where does your inspiration come from?" They said, "All we wanted to do was sound like the Clash."
Oh, right.
This is the beginning of, if you ever heard the punk rock band Rancid, or Lars Frederiksen and the Bastards, or Youth Brigade, this is where they came from. This is Tim Armstrong from Rancid and Jesse from, oh my God, like 10 billion different projects. So this is his art. This is Jesse's artwork. And if you look carefully, this is an album cover that when we saw the history of Bay Area punk ska music. Like, you see the trees where they hung out, the people that they did, and the imagery. The imagery is about drugs and news and being chained and the mystery man himself. When I was a kid, this album was like, wow. I mean, oh my God, this is a 2010 pressing of it. And the original actually came in a 7-inch. And small, a little tiny one. Original came in a 7-inch, and you see the guy and everything. But when I was a kid, that was blew up my imagination. Like, wait a minute. And I'm saying kid, I mean like 17, 18. It blew my imagination. I was just like, okay, this is catchy music. This is very catchy, very fast, very quick, yelling, punk rock. It's rebellious. It's, oh my God, it's me. It's what I want. And then you see the album and a 7-inch, which I found in, I think it was Lookout Record. No, not Lookout. I'm sorry. It was Tang Records in Sunset Boulevard. And I found it there and I picked it up. It cost me $5. Later on in years, when I needed money really bad, I sold that 7-inch for $75.
Wow.
It's one of those iconic albums that when you get it, one album, this bunch of 7-inches came out. They never came out with a 12-inch album of one. And the only thing you have is these compilations of all of their music. So when they came out, you just love. I mean, I implore you. If you hear Sound System, take warning. I mean, I'm not gonna sing it because I'm stupid just even thinking about it. But it was like, take warning. They and there's, if you ever get a chance to, there's also a compilation of different artists doing a tribute to them, where they take a ska punk song and make it into a hip hop song, and it works perfectly. So, and definitely encourage you guys to seek it out. But Operation Ivy is rooted in the punk rock world as one of the best and most sought after reunions. And people wanted to kind of just recently this year, Jesse and Lars decided to do a little reunion. They played one song, and the backing band was the Interrupters. And if you've never heard the Interrupters, they're amazing.
No, I've heard of them. Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, so that's my, I don't know which one, 8.
That's your number 8. Awesome. That's
not on my list.
Yeah. That's the one thing we've always said is the beauty of doing these podcasts. We get introduced to this brave new world of movies and music. So we'll have plenty of stuff.
Feel free to stop me. I am a big chatterbox.
No, that's what you're here for.
It's fascinating, Dave.
That's what you're here for. We want to know about these things. No, we want to know about these things.
Say, hey, this is supposed to be half an hour, not 3 hours. All right.
No, not at all. Right then, Neil, your number 8, please.
So we spoke about simplistic, but yet very visually stunning. It's the Sex Pistols. Never mind the bollocks. I love that little bit of artwork. It's almost, it has got to everything, because back in the day, bollocks wasn't a word that you'd really hear when it was released in the late 70s there. It was always stickered over on the posters on the wall or everything like that, but it was great to see it finally unveiled, so much so that my Virgin credit card is actually a mock of the album cover artwork and says "Never mind the bollocks" on the credit card, because obviously it was a Virgin label. There's not so much I can say about it, but visually striking. Love the name of the album. I love the album, even though people say there's better stuff. I think that was them at their greatest myself. But yeah.
Never Mind the Bullocks was the first punk rock album I've ever bought on tape.
Was it? And it's a great album, isn't it, Dave? Well,
it's a great album. I hate the bastard, but he pisses people off on purpose for no reason other than to piss people off. So, Johnny Rotten or Johnny Lydon, I mean, I'm not lying to you. He has more musical talent than most performers with a shitty voice, but his musical talent isn't about his voice. His musical talent is about his message, his rhythm, his iconic stance in life. Great. But he really, the guy wears a Nazi swastika just to piss people off. Not that he is one, and the last time he performed in a Trump, he does it on purpose.
Yeah, he's a devil's advocate, isn't he?
He is. And that's where that original, they only came out with one album. The Swindle album, the Great Rock and Roll Swindle, was really that, a Great Rock and Roll Swindle. It was just a greatest hits of the first album, and then they mixed in some classical music that was out of license, so they can put it up.
Right.
And that basically that's exactly what that was. And they told you what it was. And they literally, their albums is them telling you, hey,
this is a swindle.
Never mind all the bullshit. Never mind all the bullets, which basically what it means. Yeah. This is just some very simple punk rock. And, God Save the Queen and,
Vacant, isn't there?
Anarchy in the UK are classics. And if you haven't heard that album in its entirety, regardless if it's streamed or not, you're missing out.
Yeah, it's
and the classic simplicity, but the outright, never mind the bullocks, yellow on pink is so visually outstanding. I applaud you on your pick. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I will admit I've never listened to that album all the way through, so maybe that's one thing I should do.
Pretty Vacant is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Right.
Oh, wow.
It's on the B side of that album. If you listen to that album and just the way he fluctuates his voice so that he can be in tune with Jones, and it's great. Sid Vicious didn't know how to play worth a shit, no. But if you listen to him, you get such a beautiful sense of, okay, this guy does have talent. But he's hiding it behind a lot of angst and anger, and it's really wonderful. You should definitely give it a try.
It is.
Okay.
Are you a fan of Pill, David?
I am.
Yeah, I like Pill as well. Yeah, good.
Okay.
I
Nice.
do
Okay, my number 8 came out in 1984, and I was a young teenager, so don't have a go at me. But it was Like a Virgin by Madonna, and the reason I chose it is boobies, basically.
Yeah, boobies.
I mean,
why not?
there was a hefty cleavage on the front cover of an album.
I have a very big Madonna collection.
Do you?
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. It's pop, but it's awesome.
It's early Madonna, sort of, go her first sort of 7 or 8 years. I don't think that there was anyone better.
No,
but for the whole package, as in, like, the music was amazing, the videos were fantastic. The True Blue, I mean, it was between that one and True Blue.
I have album. True Blue on wax. It's worth like $50 now. I think I bought it for $7.99.
Really.
Wow.
But she was just such.
And it's blue background with her face, and she's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like wow, it's striking.
It is absolutely striking. But the Like a Virgin one, like I said, it was
sprawled on the bed, wasn't she?
She was with like a bodice kind of corset thing on with
very sort of lacy.
Lacy.
That was, and at the time, everybody wanted to dress like her. Had the lace gloves and the chains and the hair. Oh my God, it was everywhere.
It was. Oh, she was an absolute trendsetter. She was,
and now she's an icon, isn't she?
She is.
Absolutely.
She is an icon without a doubt. Okay, then, David, your number 7, please.
Drunken Lullabies by Flogging Molly. You can't tell me that you don't know this band.
No, don't know this band.
Oh my God. I am going to send you guys a set list, okay? All right.
Okay.
Flogging Molly, Drunken Lullabies.
Okay.
Has one of the greatest songs on it in history. I've often told not only my wife, but everyone in my family, my best friends, throughout history, when the day that I die, this song, Rebels of the Sacred Heart, must be played at my funeral. I don't care. It must be played. It's a very religious song. It's his only religious song. He's very Catholic, but it's his only religious song. But this album is more about growing old, being a surly old drunk and not giving a shit. And the imagery of the album, old man walking through the streets in a depressive Ireland, just wanting to be something in life. And that's what this album is about, to being the best that you can, even if you're old salty bastard. I love this album. I definitely recommend it. Get really stoned, have a big beer, like Guinness, just a thick, room temperature Guinness, and listen to this entire album. I guarantee you will want to fight and fuck all night. It's amazing. Give it a shot.
Flogging Molly, right?
Yeah. Flogging Molly. Well, there you go. That's definitely another one for the list. And if it's an album that makes you want to fuck and fight all night, I mean, as long as you get them in the right order, then that's fine.
Oh, no, I mean, regardless, you have to go fight and then come home. I mean, come on, that's
the way to do it.
Don't do it at home. Then that's bad.
Go on then, Neil. You're number 7.
So it's Peter Gabriel. And I will say it's Peter Gabriel, and we'll call it 3. It's with the half melted face, because these first few albums he didn't number. He was just
right. That's why they were all Peter Gabriel, weren't
they? So this one visually to me struck me.
This one?
That's So, isn't it? No, it's the one with the half melted face. David. The early Peter Gabriel. It was the first one I bought because of the visual on the album cover. It intrigued me. It drew me in. I thought, what's this all about? Who is this chap? And I bought the album. It's a great album. If you've never listened to Peter Gabriel's solo stuff, I'd get on it because you won't be disappointed. It's hard to describe how it is. So it's like somebody took a Polaroid of Peter Gabriel there and smudged half his face down.
Oh, I know which one you mean. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like it's rain, doesn't it? It almost looks like it's the picture's
wet.
Taken through a window where the rain is coming and distorting his face.
Nice. I've always believed that everybody should have Peter Gabriel in their collection. The man
totally
is a
agree.
master
Absolutely.
at what he does.
Yeah.
I love his voice. Everyone's like, oh, but it's pop. Who cares?
No.
His voice is amazing. Not only that, you can definitely play the music. That's dancing music. That's the kind of music you want to grab your lady and be like, come close, baby. We're going to dance.
And his earlier stuff, he had great messages. I mean, you think about the song Beaker. It's I think it's just a fantastic song with such a strong message that's still relevant today as well, isn't it? Games Without Frontiers, I still think is relevant today as it was when it was written back there.
Absolutely.
So people might accuse him, and probably because of the album you just showed us, which was his probably most commercial album with Sledgehammer and everything. You go earlier, and they're not that commercial. I mean, you have the commercial tracks like Salisbury Hill and things like that, but it's
weird, right?
Yeah.
It's weird, fun. It's exciting. It's nice. It's when you listen to his music, it's not pop. It's
storytelling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfectly said, Neil. Perfectly said. Yes.
It's a good storyteller. He's got an issue. He feeds through what he's trying to say, and it's up to you to take what you want from it.
But he also doesn't say it in a normal way. He says it in a Peter Gabriel way, doesn't he?
Yeah, he has his own unique style of telling these or sort of spreading the message. Yeah. I mean, I've been fortunate to see him live 5 times, I think. And he never, ever has he disappointed. And, we think of the great songs like Sledgehammer and Don't Give Up and songs like that. In Your Eyes is a classic one. As an artist, he's so giving. I mean, he started the Real World Studios and he's all for world music and everything. WOMAD is right on our doorstep at an international world music festival. And if you ever get the chance, David, I'd highly recommend coming to that. He makes every show different. A bit like when you can listen to his songs again and you can hear them differently if you really delve into it. And the shows are very much like that as well.
I've never seen him live, so I'm interested. Definitely
there's
interested.
some great videos on YouTube of him live.
Yeah,
and he puts on a show, doesn't he?
He really puts on a show.
Pieces of art that he puts on stage. Yeah. It's not just him singing, and a lot of times he does it in the round as well. So he has the whole crowd around him, which is fantastic. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Okay, my number 7 was an album that when I was little, when I was about 7 or 8, I think I was, scared the shit out of me. It's News of the World by Queen. Now this was another one of those gatefold sleeves, but it had a robot on it, and then the members of the band were all like in this robot's fingers with blood everywhere and their lifeless bodies it was fucking horrifying. And when I was looking and thinking of that, was what I thought, I've got to have that in my top 10, because as a 7 or 8 year old, I can remember not only was I scared of Freddie Mercury, because at that time it was all, the skin tight
teeth and hair.
Yeah, but like the skin tight leotards that he wore, and the teeth and the hair. I thought he's a very scary looking guy. But then when you saw that album cover, it was just like it was every sort of nightmare in my head. But then looking back on it now, it's an amazing piece of artwork. It's and the fact that the gatefold sleeve opens up and reveals, I think the actual cover you can see, I think it's Brian May and Freddie Mercury drawn, obviously, but dead. When you open up the gatefold sleeve, it shows the bottom part of the picture, which is Roger Taylor and John Deacon like falling to their deaths. It's just horrific. But it's an album cover, so I wanted to put that one on there. And it was drawn by Frank Kelly Frias, apparently. I had a look. Oh God, I got that off my chest there. I feel so much better. That was like therapy.
Was that like therapy?
Was the best therapy ever.
I finally got rid of that after 45 years or whatever it's been.
Until you have to put the album cover up to show everybody.
I know, and then you're going to freak out all over again.
That's just...
it's funny, I had the complete opposite reaction than you did. With Freddie Mercury, my dad was a huge fan. And so the first time I ever had an experience with Freddie Mercury was... I'm Going Slightly Mad, the video, and seeing him when he was really skinny.
Yeah.
And thinking to myself, like, wow, what, he's gorgeous. I thought the man was gorgeous. And I was just, in my head, I would think, his voice.
Mm.
And then that's when it started. I collected the entire catalog. I have every single one of his albums. The only thing that I'm missing is the Highlander soundtrack. He did the Highlander soundtrack and the Flash Gordon soundtrack.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
I just purchased the Flash Gordon soundtrack. And it's, to me, he was, I think, what he thought of himself, which was musically godly, geniusly.
Yes.
I mean, Kanye has nothing on Freddie Mercury. And I think that album specifically was such a different album. It was, the music in it was different than a lot of his other stuff. And it wasn't a big commercial success initially, but now everybody wants it.
Yeah.
I see that album around. It just got reissued too, in a beautiful glossy finish with the original gatefold. It's really beautiful.
Oh, right. Okay.
Very nice.
Okay.
Again, shut me up.
No, you carry on. You carry on.
No, it's fascinating, David. Honestly, it really is.
And we'll carry on. Your number 6, David.
All right, my number 6. We're gonna go to Mexico for this one.
Oh, wow.
This is Café Tacuba. All right, this is their I think it's their 7th album. Oh my God. I started listening to them in 1994 when I was 18 years old. Their first album is self-titled. This is I think, one of their standout albums that they play the United States all the time and they always sell out. I've seen them a total of 7 times, and their shows are visually and musically diverse.
Right.
Their second album, R-E, is maybe the most diverse album I ever heard in my life. The first song is a ballad. The second song is industrial metal. The third song is a country song in Spanish. All of it in Spanish, but the music is so incredibly diverse. They include every portion of the can of music, and then when they come to the United States, they speak in English and sing the songs in Spanish. And the way that they translate their music is, we have no genre, we're going to expand it. This one has a beautiful dance song on it and the name of the album is Hey Baby, but Jeibibi, Hey Baby. That's how you actually pronounce those letters in Spanish. So if you were saying it in Spanish, you'd be like, Hey Baby.
Just repeat what they were called again, David.
Café Tacuba. CAFE as in coffee, but in Spanish, café, like a coffee place. And then Tacuba, and it's TAV or UBA. Right. Now you can interchange the V or the U. They don't give a fuck. They change it all the time. I don't know why. All right. But the album itself is so gorgeous, so nice. It is a beautiful gatefold with the band.
Yeah.
Okay. And the back is a graffitied world, and the front has the entire band dancing in it with graffiti all over with the titled princess. Now they never show her face, and in the video of the title song, never show her face, which is very weird, but I think it's fucking awesome. And I love this album. If you get a chance to get in it, it's still available. This band is probably the most notorious band of not believing in reissues. So their first album, if you own it, I don't. I wish I did. The first album is worth about $1,300.
Wow.
And you can literally, they produce them in Mexico, Ecuador, and Honduras, and each one of those will fly for that amount. Re is the most expensive one. I've seen it for sale for about $3,000. And after that, Cuatro Caminos, and I can't remember the name of their fourth album because it's something I can't remember. All those albums, they never issued on vinyl. So there's unofficials or bootlegs, or what you would call fan club, which you're not supposed to, have in the United States, but obviously we have really great friends that ship them over for us in bulk, and we have them sometimes. But it's the amount of music that they produce is staggeringly beautiful. Just every album has something that'll catch you. It can be operatic, it can be country, it can be folk, lorico, it could be any, and his voice, it changes from yells and screams to beautiful cackles like a chicken. Oh my God, this guy is amazing. One of my all-time favorite bands, Café Tacuba, and I will definitely send you that information. So
Yes.
you can...
Yes, please do, please.
Oh God, this playlist is getting longer and longer. Go on then, Neil. You're number 6.
So we'll take you back to the early 80s. Everybody wanted the T-shirt once the album was released, and everybody seemed to get the T-shirt when the album was released. It's Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast. I believe the drawing of Eddie and the Devil, on the puppet string, was done by one Mark Wilkinson, who will probably feature again in my top 10 somewhere. It's do you know the picture I'm on about? You know Eddie, don't you?
Yes.
From the Iron Maiden albums. There you go. So he's holding puppets for the devil underneath. I mean, everybody who was everybody in the early 80s ended up with that on the T-shirt, whether you like the album or not.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest Iron Maiden fan. I'm going to be 100% honest, but I do like the early stuff. There they are on the back, burning in flames. I got the T-shirt in the end because everybody did. But
I didn't.
Really,
just to let you know, Neil, I didn't.
Did you not?
No.
You were too busy.
I have two of them. I have one that I wore till I have holes in it, and then I bought a newer one.
Yeah,
there you go.
David
bought the one that I was supposed to get. Look, he got 2 of them.
I think it was just one of those things that was became like a bit like the Ramones have become now. That you see everybody wearing the T-shirt, yet you say to them, "Oh, what album? Or do you like this album?" "Oh, I don't listen to the Ramones." And that was a thing that happened with the Iron Maiden Number of the Beast album. I do actually like
a pop culture thing, doesn't it? It's
it becomes a huge pop culture thing.
I love Iron Maiden. I've seen them live twice.
They are great live, aren't they?
And Bruce Dickinson is still the guy can sing opera. He's got a gorgeous voice. The first album of Iron Maiden had a different singer. Yeah, and he kind of just went up to the band after one of the shows and said, "I can do better than him." And he got the job.
Paul Di'Anno. That was the original singer. Paul Di'Anno.
Good job. Thank you. I could not bring it in my head if you paid me $1 million.
Yeah.
But the monster on it, the mummy on it, the monster, his name is Eddie.
That's it.
And he's in every cover, and every cover is a different theme. Power Slave, he's a Egyptian, and it changes. But Number of the Beast was the one where crawls out of hell and comes for you, and it's iconic. And I don't know why I didn't even think of it for my top 10. It's amazing. It's a great cover. It's a great pick.
Great illustration artwork, isn't it? The intricacy.
It's amazing. And you look at it. I'm an artist by trade, and I've tried to draw him before, and it's incredibly hard there because there's wrinkles and lines and textures in the face and the teeth. And I mean, the artist, which I don't know, I'm very sad that I don't know.
Yes, I think it's Mark Wilkinson, his name.
Mark is incredibly talented. He not only is incredibly talented, I believe that every album cover that he ever did, the original prints are owned by Bruce Dickinson. Like, he has them, and obviously worth a lot of money.
He certainly did a lot of the Iron Maiden stuff, Mark Wilkinson. And if you go to his website, you can order, obviously reprints and of them, and get them in certain sizes posted up. I mean, I've got a small poster that way in my bathroom of Number of the Beast. Yeah, I just think it's a great album cover. You can look at it and just keep looking at it. I've always thought it would make Eddie and his whole artwork would make for a wonderful cartoon. I mean, it would be far too expensive probably to do it, but I just think it'd be awesome character to be in a cartoon.
Nice. Okay, my number 6, talking of striking images, my number 6 is Island Life, Grace Jones.
Yes.
I'm not sure what kind of, whether it's a yoga pose that she's doing, but I'm looking at it now, and you have to be pretty nimble to do a pose like that. But it's one of those poses. She looks amazing, and it's set against this blue wall, and I think she's on some kind of, is it a yoga pose? I don't know what it is, but
is she naked? Isn't she?
She has like a red sort of boob tube on.
Yeah, because it became very controversial in the UK, that album.
It did.
Back in the day.
It was, I believe, that came out right after Conan the Barbarian, right? Where she was in it.
Yes.
And she blew up after that.
Yeah,
she was everywhere. She was
in View to a Kill around that time as well. The Bond movie, wasn't she?
Just a complete, gorgeous, beautiful woman, and she has acting chops and she has voice. I mean, she was an amazing, iconic image.
And a temper, yeah.
Famously, a chat show host in this country called Russell Harty spoke a little bit over her, and she kept slapping him live on TV for speaking when she was trying to speak. Yeah,
that's on YouTube as well. I saw that. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, she could go from looking beautiful to looking really scary in the matter of a millisecond, which is quite a feat, really.
I think one of my favorite looks that she ever had, she adopted the band over her head.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
The red, like a crown. It was one of my favorite looks. She looked so regal.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, that's nice, beautiful. Yeah. I mean, I've always liked her, especially I was a big fan of her movies, and so it was just one of those things that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
She is good. She is very good.
Okay, David, you're number 5, please.
First, I want to ask a question. Like, I'm a punk guy, and I think that, do you guys have like a genre that you like go to? Pop, rock, classical?
I'm very, very eclectic. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I tend to go for, if it's a good song, I like it, as opposed to going for one particular type of music. I've always been like that, you know. But then again, I've said before, I'm a very lazy listener. I would tend to listen to the same things over and over again than venture into. That's why I said these podcasts have been really good, because it's opened my eyes up to some different kinds of music.
I've been trying for 9 years, David. I mean, we got him to listen to Radiohead recently, not so long ago, and he's not a fan. Which
one of the album covers that's in my top 5 was an album that I only listened to for the first time about a month ago, which I will come up to in a minute. So,
oh my god, I love Radiohead. I'm a huge Radiohead fan. I've seen them live here in the U.S. but early on, before they became incredibly electric. But I still love Kid A, Amnesia. They're all great albums, and they just redid those 2 albums as a set in a 4-disc album with remixes. And In Rainbows was the first. I think In Rainbows was the first crowd-funded album that they did. They said, "Here's our album. Suggested price $10, but feel free to take it for free or donate." And everyone donated 20. That was the best-selling album they ever had.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful cover too. It's just in rainbows and different colors on that cover. But he's there. I think the Bends is their best album. And if you listen to the Bends, either you become a fan or you're like, I'm okay. You decide in the Bends. I think that's the album.
I think you went to OK Computer, didn't you, Pav?
I'm sorry.
I had to go at 2 albums, and I think
Pav went OK Computer, David.
Yeah, I could not.
OK Computer is great.
Yeah, I couldn't. I just couldn't get into them at all.
Yeah, you need to get high and get into them.
Okay.
You need me to say? I have some gummies I can send you.
Okay.
There you go. Then we'll video Pav getting high.
Yeah, then I'll be Radiohead's greatest fan.
No, but try In Bends. It's very rocky, and it's right the middle between. They went from a rock album to a more technical industrial album, and I'm telling you, that mix right in the middle is beautiful. Right. There's a couple of times where he just yells at like just like in anger in the music, and you can hear it in it. And if you just take some mushrooms or something, you'll love it.
Okay.
You'll get in there, you'll love it.
Johnny Greenwood, Pav, does a lot of film soundtracks.
Yeah,
There Will Be Blood, and that's the Radiohead guy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Sorry, not teaching you. No, sorry, I didn't. Some people don't realize.
No, I know. But you're saying that, like, then I should. I maybe I need to give him another go. Maybe that's what
Go
I'll
the
do.
bends.
Yeah,
I'll go
and,
for the
and
bends.
don't let us bully you or peer
Do
pressure
they?
you into listening to them. It's just they have I mean, if you like Blur or the Gorillas, I think they naturally you would like Radiohead also.
Right. Okay.
You know.
Okay. I will, on your advice, I will give them a go. I will give them another
Try
go.
the bends. I mean, listen to
Okay.
the bends all the way through. Have a beer, relax.
See how
Have
it
your
goes.
girl massage your feet a little bit. Put your
Oh, that's
headphones
never
on.
going to happen. Right then, David, your number 5, please.
Jane's Addiction, the self-titled, with Perry Farrell looking sexy and odd and strained in a very serene, beautiful. If you don't know Jane's Addiction, his voice is pretty high pitched. It's one of those voices that people either love or hate. The music is melodic, about beaches, about mountains. This album itself has a very LA sound to it. Album titles like Core and Jane Says is on this. If you guys ever listen to Jane's Addiction, Jane Says.
No.
I have.
Oh,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Carl! I don't know what I'm gonna do with you.
No,
All right.
I told you, David, at the start. I did tell you.
I've actually seen them live, David. Jane's
Oh,
Addiction.
wonderful! I have too.
Yeah,
I've met Perry Farrell. I went to the LA City Studios. I have a very close friend of mine, who worked at the LA City Studios as a caterer, and they did all the daily lunches for all the actors and news people. They went in there and performed. And one day she called me. She goes, "Oh, did you know that this video game is coming out?" And I'm like, I've heard about it. Why? Goes, well, the Foo Fighters are playing. Do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, let's go. We ended up going there. It went in through the service entrance, got our tickets. We went in, came in, and we're first in line to see the Foo Fighters. And Pat Smear, one of my favorite people in the world, was there. And I said, I love you and the Germs. If you don't know the Germs, it's an early punk rock band. They have a movie called What We Do Is Secret. Definitely recommend it. It's an LA early punk rock band, chaotic punk rock band. I'm going into a tangent. I'm very sorry.
That's okay.
As I'm standing there, I turn around and Perry Farrell is standing there. This man himself is standing there. And I look at him and I love Jane's Addiction. I love Satellite Party. I love Porno for Pyros, all his bands. I just want you to know that you changed my life with your music. And he did. Absolutely changed my life. He made me realize that the music and the words and the voice, regardless of what pitch and what tone, all have a place in life. And they all have a musical genre, and specifically, and he found it. He found his bandmates, he found his voice, and he found the tone in music, and I think it's perfect. And if you get a chance to listen to this album, like I said, the chaos somehow turns into a melodic, beautiful thing. And you see it not only in the cover, but in the way he looks at life, about love. And if you ever seen him talk, he does talk sometimes about how, you can't steal another person's wife. You can't be the person that steals. You can't be that one that takes and takes and takes. Eventually, you're going to come to a spot where you have to give and give and give. And either you break yourself giving or you just keep taking. And that's what makes a man. And that's a lesson that he taught me, which is crazy in music.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw him at a festival called Download here in the UK, a heavy metal festival, and they were playing. And I really didn't know them that much. I knew that obviously the songs that had been the hits as they were. So we watched them, and it was after that I delved into their back catalogue, and I have to say it's been joyous.
It's very nice. And
yeah,
Jane Says is like their biggest hit, I would say.
Yeah.
And listening to Jane Says talk about, he's basically describing a woman's life, going through a woman's life, and the turmoil and the sadness is everyday life. It's just a mundane, the mundane living life of this woman, Jane. And you're just, I don't know, mesmerized by it. The idea of them, like, just making a song about a woman's strife is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy to me, especially when it came out in the early 90s. It was so misogynistic, male-centric rock and roll crotch rock. You know, everything was like, oh, it's hair metal or hardcore metal, or all you're going to listen to is Pantera and, you know, crazy stuff, which I enjoy also. But for when this came out, Nirvana came out, I mean, you heard Pearl Jam, and then it changed. Your life perspective changes because you're like, I'm going to stop teasing my hair up today. I'm going to stop putting eyeliner on, painting my nails, because I'm okay with life and finding out about me.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, Neil, you're number 5.
So it's Aerosmith and Pump. And it took me a little while, because obviously to realize what exactly was going on with this album cover.
The trucks were fucking?
Yeah. But I don't know. It was the naivety when it came out, because what would it have been? 86 that came out? 87
I think
probably?
Close. Yeah.
So I would have been 14, 15 when that came out. I didn't twig at very first.
Well, explain for the people that aren't watching on YouTube.
If you've never seen it, it's 2 trucks, 2 pickup trucks, I will call them. One on top of the other, basically fucking, just like David said.
Okay.
But it's really, really well shot. It's it's a great photograph. Whoever got it or however they did it, I think it's an absolutely fantastic photograph. And it says what it means. You know, the album's called Pump, for Christ's sake. And it took me a little while to appreciate exactly what was going on. So much so, I've got that. And like I said, all these are up on my wall somewhere or other. And I think that's a great album cover. Basically Aerosmith is written on the side of the truck and Pump underneath it. And when it's on,
you don't even know it's an Aerosmith album until you read the truck. Like,
that's
you
right,
just look at it. Yeah, you look at it and you're going, that is, oh. Great.
But yeah, it's a great album as well. It's got a lot of their hits, you know, Janie's Got a Gun and all of those, Loving in an Elevator.
My favorite Aerosmith album.
It's, you know, they pretty much play the whole album if you ever go and see them live. Another great band live, if you ever get a chance to
100%.
see them have. It's one of those ones live. I think most people would be sold on their performance. Steven Tyler and Joe Perry, when they're performing together, especially, I mean, the goosebumps and the awe that I stood there is when they performed Dream On together.
Yeah.
Just blew me away. I mean, they must have performed that every night over decades and decades, but you would never know. It sounded like it's the first time he'd ever performed it, and it was beautiful.
And doesn't he sound vocally like, oh, this guy has literally no auto-tuning, no production. I mean, his voice live, it's just like it's on tape.
Yeah, you can't tell the difference. Yeah, the whole band is so tight as well. It's one band that if people are a bit wary about going to see a live band, that's one I would always recommend, because I think you would have a good time. He's one of those entertainers that feels like he's talking to you. So you will have that great time in a crowd of 60 to 100,000 people. He engages with every single one of you. It's fantastic.
But they've been together since the 70s?
Early 70s. Yeah, I've got an old tour t-shirt.
I think their first album came out in 69.
Was it really? Yeah.
I think so.
I've got an old tour t-shirt. There was a reprinted old tour t-shirt of Aerosmith live in Liverpool, 1973.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is
great album
crazy.
cover, though. Great album cover.
Right. So my number 5 was the album that Neil had said to me for ages, you have to listen to this album. And it's an album that's been out since 1977. Rumours, Fleetwood Mac. And the album cover for me is it's one of those ones. I mean, Stevie Nicks always looks mysterious and beautiful. Doesn't matter what she's doing, what kind of pose she's in.
I'm in love with Stevie Nicks still.
Yeah. And so you've got that part of it. And then you've also then got the balls hanging down. And it's just, you know, the sepia black and white kind of look. And I listened to the album for the first time probably about 3-4 weeks ago.
You see?
Shows you how my fingers on the pulse, David, when it comes to music.
I'm not a fan. I'm a Stevie Nicks fan.
Yeah.
But the music, it just, to me, I I never like really caught on to it. I think it's gorgeous. It's perfect. Fine. It was never just my cup of tea.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
has a beautiful voice.
Oh,
what did
yeah.
you think then, Pav? Did I get one right?
I really, I mean, apart from the fact I didn't realize there was quite so many of the hits on the album.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic album from start to finish. It just is.
There's not a bad track.
It's one of my wife's favorite. It's one of my wife's favorite albums.
Yeah,
and every time she plays it, I'm like, eh.
Yeah. But isn't that the beauty of music, though, that it can touch somebody in one way and somebody else it just means nothing to them?
Oh, I'm not like her favorite band for some weird reason is Bloodhound Gang.
Right. Okay.
All right. Oh,
if you ever heard them, they have some of the silliest albums ever, but she loves the joke.
Right.
She loves the joke in it, and that's her music.
Wasn't there a big album called Hooray for Boobies?
Yep.
Well, there you go. I need to start devouring their back catalogue. Okay, David, you're number 4 then, please.
Okay, we're getting into deep cuts for me.
Oh my God, now you're getting into deep cuts. Jesus.
Okay, do you know who the actor and artist Henry Rollins is?
Yes. And poet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Henry Rollins was a famous singer for Black Flag. Black Flag had multiple singers. I think 4 total: Keith Morris, Desi Cardena, Jose Chavez, and Henry Rollins. Oh, and Mikey V is the newest Black Flag, who sounds exactly like Henry Rollins, which is very weird. But this album came out when I was in high school and means so much to me. This is the actual tattoo that Henry Rollins has in his back. This album has one of my favorite songs in history called Obscene. It is a hardcore punk rock ballad. And it's yelling and screaming in absurdity. And it's amazing. I love this album so much from start to finish. If you ever heard the song Tearing Me Apart by Rollins Band, that's in here. That Tear Me Apart was in the 90s, I think in like 3 or 4 different very popular movies, right when he was like in the movie Chase and stuff like that. Henry Rollins is beautiful. I love the man. He's a Renaissance man. But this album right here defined him in as a musical icon. And a lot of people don't really understand how important that is. He later on decided, his musical engineer was considered part of the band.
Oh, right.
They toured with them. He recorded with them. If you watch the video Tear Me Apart or almost any other videos from the early 90s, you see a guy sitting down on the floor with headphones on and a small laptop and digital things. That's his engineer. And he was seriously performing with them in the band. It's amazing. And so I definitely give this, if you're not a big punk rock fan, I get it. You understand. He came out with 4 albums before this, and every one of the albums to me was a different level of his musical talent. And when he got to End of Silence, the album says it itself. It really is the End of Silence. This album is loud, meant to be played loud. Right. It's obnoxious, and it's if you want an album just for the pure gorgeousness of that man right there. Look at that. I'm not even close to being gay, but I would say yes to him.
Is it right that he's back doing his old material again live? I read somewhere that he's gone back out on the road and been doing a lot of his old material again.
If he does, and now this is a lot of hearsay because the man himself says, I don't want to be the old man playing in front of people again. So he's touring. He just is doing a tour right now through the United States with a spoken word. Yeah. Which I've seen, and it's also amazing. Because he's basically at heart a poet. And the music that is around him, I think, was formed by the rest of the band for his poetry. And if you look at it that way, if you look at it going in like this is a man that's expelling his poetry and the people around them are telling the truth of the music, you will find a a altered version of what he is. He's not the guy screaming liar over and over again. I mean, everybody remembers that song Liar. That was in his album Wait, which is also a good album. But End of Silence is, I think, really his top tier album. It's great.
Right. Okay. Neil, your number 4, please.
So we've spoken of iconic album covers. This probably is one of the most out there. It's Pink Floyd again. It's Dark Side of the Moon, the Prism. I think it's just a genius bit of artwork. It's beautiful. And so much so that I went to see Roger Waters back in 2018 on the Us and Them tour to take it in. And they basically recreated the album cover with lasers over the audience's head. So everybody that was on the floor, unless you were in the sides, was sat in the prism, and you could have a view which way you looked. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's, what more can I say? It's just a great piece of artwork. And I mean, instantly recognizable. It's up there with other albums. You see it, you know what it is. You don't need to read the title of the album. It's there. It's for everybody to take.
There's a classic punk band named Death. They have a documentary that if you are in the Kevin Smith world, his producer, someone help me.
Scott Mosier.
Thank you. He sought out the band information and went out and actually did this documentary. So much so that the band actually resurfaced with a different singer because he passed away. Their first album has that pyramid in it. They had a version of it, their first album. So, and when asked about it, they directly referenced the inspiration that was given to them by Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd has inspired more bands than we will ever know in different genres. And that specific album, I think, switches genres halfway through it. You get a rock melody. I mean, the music itself is gorgeous.
Yes, it's
geniusly
beautiful.
Gorgeous.
The
album cover, which is not one of my favorite album covers because I have synesthesia. Another one of those fucking long words. And when I was young, that album cover triggered my synesthesia, and I saw the rainbow prism. I saw that in every time someone talked for almost a week.
Right. Oh wow.
And I hated it. I couldn't get away from it. So it's like one of those albums that triggers me sometimes. I love the music.
Yeah. Pav's not a fan.
That's another one.
Pav's
Pink Floyd. I just
fan.
cannot get into them.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, you're English, man.
I know.
I mean, I would say give something on Dark Side of the Moon, like The Great Gig in the Sky, where it's just them.
Oh, Animals! You'll love Animals. It's very rocky and poppy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great Gig in the Sky. Listen to that song, Pav. It's just a woman vocalizing over their music, and it is beautiful.
Okay.
Neil, get with me on Facebook and send me your information. I'm gonna send you. I have a bunch of still in cover player copies of Pink Floyd stuff, like 3 or 4. I'll send them to you. I do. Trust me, I need to downsize. I have so much stuff, and they're player copies. There were DJ copies, singles, and stuff like that. So they're a little scratched up and everything, but a good care, a little TLC, and they'll play great.
Oh, David.
So the whole thing with Dark Side of the Moon, is it the thing that if you play it and then play Wizard of Oz, it matches up perfectly? Is that the reason there's a prism on the front with a rainbow? No,
nothing at all. I mean, that came
Is that
out.
just
I mean,
a
that's
fallacy?
still a conspiracy sort of thing, isn't
Right.
it? I mean, you can if you want to, but bearing in mind that Dark Side of the Moon is literally only about 30 minutes long. The Wizard of Oz is an hour and 30 minutes long. So how people do that, I don't know. They must play it over on repeat. I've never worked it out, but people have theories for everything, don't they? Look at poor old Judas Priest back.
I've done it.
Have you done it? Have you?
I've done it. It does not work.
No, there you go.
There you
it's
go.
Like the first
definitive
10 minutes, you have to really find. Oh, what? No, it doesn't work.
No.
You have to really find the first 10 minutes. After that, you just get really bored and realize, well, I'm really stoned. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, my number 4. Talking of album covers that are iconic and also are supposed to have legendary, deep meanings in every corner of it. It's Abbey Road by the Beatles. So you've got.
Oh, that's my number 3.
Is that your number 3?
Just to let you know.
Yeah. Is Paul McCartney? Is that the real Paul McCartney holding a cigarette in his right hand, not his left hand? He's got no shoes on. I think
he's just a contrary man, and he always was.
Exactly. I saw some footage on YouTube yesterday, I think it was, of the Beatles like going the other side of the road after the photograph had been taken, and it's really weird when you see such an iconic moment in time that album cover is, to then see footage of like the split second after it when they've crossed the road and they don't know where they got to go. They're just sort of like mulling over on the other side of the road. You think that's weird, because you see that snapshot of the Beatles at that particular time, and that is ingrained in your brain that's what they look like, and the memes that have come from that and
copied
so many times. There's not really much more you can say. I mean, the rest of my top 10 are going to be just iconic ones that don't really need anything said about them.
But Abbey Road, isn't it right that the guy, it was a very quick take as well. He ran out into the middle of the road with his stepladder, ran up, took the picture, ran back down and ran off.
Yeah, because apparently from what Paul McCartney was saying is that wasn't going to be the album cover. And then the photographer just said, I've got an idea. Just go across the road and I'll take the picture.
John Lennon took his socks off last minute.
Yeah.
And he was smoking last minute switches so they could see it, which was really weird. Apparently everything was last minute. He didn't plan anything. He was a very contrary man. And I don't know if my number 1, we'll tag this one. You'll see.
Okay. Right. That's fair enough. So that was my number 4. So David, your number 3, please.
My number 3. All right. I have 2 number 3s.
Okay.
Okay, because I couldn't decide.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. I'm sorry about this, but my 2 number 3s are completely different genres. Linda Ronstadt. This is Canciones de mi Padre. And Linda Ronstadt, if anybody knew, she was half Mexican. Her father was Mexican. And she did her only Spanish-speaking album. And this is an original copy with the original lyric sheet in it. It's worth about $130.
Wow.
And it is a representation of every Mexican American going back and finding their roots. She was a staple of American culture and decided, this is where my family and roots are, and it's gorgeously beautiful. Yes, it's in Spanish. Yes, it's different because it's traditional Mexican music. To listen to this, you get a sense of her culture, where her family is, and her heart belongs. It's wonderful.
Awesome.
I picked these as my 3rd because both these albums, the Pixies and that one, both inspired me. That one about my heritage and this one about my musical expansion. And why I thought this was because if you're into the Pixies, if you like the Pixies, I don't know if either one of you have ever heard or listened to them.
I'll be seeing them in the summer.
Okay. I've seen them too. They opened for Weezer here in the United States, and I saw them back in the 90s when they were performing. This is Come On Pilgrim. This is an original A4D copy. I would say the worth of it is close to $75 or so. The hiding, the looking, the almost inside of a frame, the picture look of this is, I'm going to hide from the world. I want you to look at me, but I don't want you to see me.
Yeah.
And I want to explore the world, look at me, really changed me as a person. Completely different albums that if you ever liked Black Frank or Frank Black or any of the pseudonyms that he goes by, and why I picked those two for my third, because it's almost there as when I first heard that band, when I first heard her sing, at the same time, it made me change a little bit. It made me realize that my heritage and my future were kind of closely entwined, because I will always remember my heritage, and I will always remember that I can yell and scream and do whatever I want to when it comes to music, when it comes to my art, when it comes to my expression. And those meant a lot to me. That's my number three. Wow, I'm really getting deep, man. This is good therapy.
You're very deep.
Here. It's lovely to listen to.
So that's number three. Neil, your number three was Abbey Road.
That's it.
My number three. Now I have to thank Jen Berg again for this one, because I didn't even know that this album existed until yesterday. It's Sesame Street Fever, which is
I love Sesame Street.
And it's basically a rip-off of the Saturday Night Fever album and cover. And I didn't realize until Jen Berg put on there as one of our honorable mentions. So you basically have Bert, Ernie, and the Cookie Monster as the Bee Gees, with is it Gonzo or is it Grover? Grover doing the John Travolta pose.
And
I looked at it and I thought, why have I never known that this album existed in my life? I need to get this. I need to at least find out where I can listen to this. So I will be doing that after the podcast. But it is.
I could probably find it for you. Give me a couple of weeks.
Okay, it's just classic. It's just a fantastic album cover, because it's an iconic album cover anyway, because the Saturday Night Fever cover is iconic. But to have them like Sesame Street people on it instead, it's just fantastic.
Well, Sesame Street did a lot of these. They did a lot of these.
Did they?
Yeah, in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of Sesame Street was really big. They made 3 movies in the late 70s and early 80s, and so wherever they could fit into an iconic big giant movie, they did it.
Right.
I mean, they weren't going to do like Rambo or anything, but Saturday Night Live was definitely one in their wheelhouse. I'm pretty sure they also did. I think they also did Abbey Road.
Oh, that
really? Oh my God!
Yeah.
And
this is where you have to go down the Google rabbit hole.
I'm gonna go down the Google rabbit hole. I think so. I think I remember something like that. Something when Monsters did the Abbey Road. I just don't remember what it was.
I would pay money to see the Sesame Street version of Rambo, though. Definitely.
Who would be Rambo?
Eh?
Who would be Rambo?
Who would be Rambo in Sesame Street?
Oscar the Grouch. Have to be.
Oh, wow.
Wouldn't he? Don't push me. He'd have to be.
Probably, yeah.
He'd have to be. That was my number 3. So, David, your number 2, please.
Okay, number 2. Here we go. Okay, this was maybe a little controversial.
Okay, this was maybe a little controversial. Okay.
Okay, this might be a little controversial. One, that I actually have this album, and 2, that I have it with a song that is very, very censored in the United States.
Okay.
Body Count.
Okay, Ice-T. Yeah.
It's Ice-T's first album as a metal artist. Okay.
Yeah.
This has the very censored cop killer that was later turned into killing pigs or frying pigs in different versions. It is right in your face, gangster life in a metal format. Why do I love this, and why this is my second one? Because this album told us that you can switch genres, that you can move, you can be eclectic, you can do whatever you want to. You can give a big fuck you to the system. You can say what you want, and granted, there are going to be repercussions because they got a lot of their shows canceled, but that freedom of speech exists in the world, and that speaking up about violence toward minorities is a big issue. It's not about cops being bad. It's about the consistent murdering and systematic elimination of minorities. I love this album. It's
Right.
again loud, it's boisterous, it's crazy. The artwork is what you see as you go through downtown Los Angeles. This is what you see. This is tagged up on the walls. There's pictures of gangsters with chains, because this is exactly what LA, what, you know, the inner city, what every Chicago, South Side Chicago, what New York City. By the way, I've been to all these places. That's why I can say that. This is what it looks like. And I think that it needs to be in a lot of homes and blasted through the airwaves so people can really realize what's going on in the world. If it has to be done in a metal format, in a rap format, in a hip hop format, in a whatever genre, this is important because censorship is big and we need to combat it.
Yeah. Nicely said, David.
Yeah,
nicely
very.
said.
Thank you.
Go on then, Neil, you're number 2.
So I'll just come right out with Nirvana, Nevermind. The little child in the swimming pool with the fishing line with the dollar.
For shame. For shame. Cover it up with a sticky.
I know, isn't it, right? How stupid have we become that we have to look at it like that? And also that stupid court case that has been...
I can't believe he literally made a history as an adult as being the baby from the Nirvana cover. He tried to model afterwards as the baby from, I mean, like, come on. He took a picture as an adult underwater. Doing it again. And what happens? He's suing the band because it was form of pedophilia.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It is absolutely. I mean, I think it's been completely thrown out now.
It's a disgrace.
Yeah. It was a disgrace, especially the amount of money that he'd earned off the back of it, going to these sign-ins like everybody. Anyway, but what an album cover. What a statement. You know, greed, whatever you want to do, you know, we're fed this greed, this it's just, and it almost has a beauty to it when you see it. The innocence of the child swimming underwater, eyes wide open. It's got pure blue water everywhere. It's just a wonderful, wonderful, almost simple, but not picture. I think it's a great, great, great album cover.
Please tell me that you've heard this album.
Yes.
Yes. Even I'd have been disappointed, David, if he'd have said no on that one.
Yes. No. Yes, I have. Yes. I like I said, I warned you at the start, David, that this is what I'm like when it comes to music. But I mean, I think if you look at Iconic, that album, see, I say this because I think it's an amazing cover. It didn't make my top 10. But it's one of those covers again where you will look at that cover probably for hours, just looking at it to think, how did they do that? That is a baby underwater. That they're not like, there's no special effects.
Do you guys know the story behind that? You know the story behind that?
No.
The camera guy just literally asked a woman who had a child there. It wasn't a photo shoot or anything.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
He saw them in the pool. You know, him swimming in the water, because obviously kids take to it naturally, and he wanted to take a picture of it. So it's spontaneous and beautiful and iconic now.
Yeah.
You don't even need the name of the band.
No, I mean, it's not really on there, is it? Very big.
No, everyone knows it's, you know, Nirvana, Nevermind. That's it. That's the band.
I didn't realize.
I mean, some people said it's dated, the album. I don't personally think it has at all. I listen to that and still hear freshness in that, but
I still think that their first album, Bleach, is my favorite of theirs.
Is it?
And I could listen to that album and the pain in his voice over and over again. He was incredibly raw in that Bleach album. I recommend it if you haven't heard it.
Oh yeah.
It was incredibly raw and a little bit more produced when it got to Nevermind, and then the albums after that.
It was just the one In Utero, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I like that.
In Utero, I have In Utero too. In Utero is a beautiful album, but it's like the image of the body in the front. You just like, you look at it and you look at the little detail. That's great. I can't believe that's not on my top 10 either.
That's what I said. It could be a top 55, couldn't it?
I know, this needs to be a top 55.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, my number 2 is Band on the Run by the Wings. It's not the Wings.
By the Wings.
Just by Wings. Just basically, it's a group of the band and some celebrities caught in a spotlight. And I was always fascinated by this because it's got Christopher Lee in it, who I was shit scared of just as much as Freddie Mercury when I was little. And then it's just a weird mix of, you've got Hollywood star, what's his name? Lee Coburn, is it?
Oh yeah,
Lee Coburn's in it. Then you've got John Conte, which is a British boxer, Clement Freud, Michael Parkinson, Kenny Lynch. It's just weird, a weird mixture of people that doesn't make any sense of. Yeah, Kenny Lynch. I'm just looking at it now. And then Paul McCartney, Denny Lane, and Linda McCartney as well. Very, very strange, but it's I mean, I love Wings. I do. They're a great album.
Wings was his best work. I have a couple. I have 1, 2, and 3 of the McCartney album. McCartney 1, 2, and 3, and man, some of those songs, I'm just like, did he run out of ideas?
Yeah. But then
have
again,
you heard Meatless Monday?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay, he ran out of ideas, so I was like, okay, well, you know what? But Wing is a collaboration of not only his talent, but everyone around him that he thought was great, and this is him expanding his mind and saying, I'm not a 4-piece with the Beatles anymore. I want to be a world piece and invite all these people in. It's very good. That's a great pick. I'm shocked. I'm like, wow, that's a great, because you don't hear Wings anymore. Like that's like people don't talk about that band ever. It's not in the news. It's Paul McCartney and the Beatles. They forget about that. Some of
their stuff was just unbelievable. It really was. Paul McCartney like you said, at the top of his game. You know, it wasn't Meat Free Monday, but you know, it was getting there. It was getting there. Right, before we reveal our number ones, David, have you got it so that you could give us a rundown from 10 to 2? Is that easy enough for you to do? Here we go.
Yes, I got them in order.
So 10. Number 10.
Velvet Underground, Andy Warhol. 9. The Crass, The Feeding of the 5,000. 3. Operation Ivy, Energy. 4. Flogging Molly, Drunken Lullabies. 5. Café Tacuba, Hey Baby. I said it in Spanish.
You did.
Jane's Addiction, Self-Titled. Rollins Band, End of Silence. At the same time, the Pixies and Linda Ronstadt. And Body Count.
At number 2. Lovely. Neil, give us your 10 to 2, please.
Okay, at number 10, I had Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. Number 9, The Velvet Underground, which we just saw. Number 8, Sex Pistols, Nevermind the Bollocks. Number 7, Peter Gabriel 3, we'll call it. Number 6, Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast. Number 5, Aerosmith's Pump. Number 4, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. Number 3, Beatles, Abbey Road. Number 2, Nirvana, Nevermind.
Thank you, Neil. And mine is number 10, Born in the USA, Bruce Springsteen. 9, Go To, XTC. 8, Like a Virgin, Madonna. 7, News of the World by Queen. 6, Island Life, Grace Jones. 5, Rumours, Fleetwood Mac. 4, Abbey Road, The Beatles. 3, Sesame Street Fever by Sesame Street. And number 2, Band on the Run by Wings. So, David, what is your number 1 album cover of all time?
My favorite album. I listen to it all the time. It is considered their least popular by industry standards because it did not sell when it first came out. And it might surprise you that the band is Weezer.
Ooh.
I am a huge Weezer fan. I've met Rivers twice in signings and I have albums that he signed. But this album cover of Pinkerton is a gorgeous rendition of innocence and beauty, and it's simple, and you see a nightscape. It's something that I just thought was gorgeous when I first saw it. And then you listen to the music, and the music is a gateway to his vulnerability. It talks about his youth, his his fears, his what he wants in life, and the music around it is beautiful. This is the 4th album booklet. It's a 4-album booklet, okay, with the entire band. Okay, this came out in, I believe, 2010, and now worth close to about $200.
Wow.
It's incredibly heavy. Each album is 180 grams, and I have to say that album really made me think of, like, their songs are like El Scorcho, and she said, I mean, when you listen to the it sounds very fun and like, oh, okay, that's a poppy fun song. Listen to the words. When he speaks, he's speaking about his vulnerability. He's speaking about his innocence in life and what he wants from it. Now he has songs like Hollywood, which was originally a rap song that he did. I mean, he really, if you want to listen to an opus, he combined 5 songs together on the Red album, and it's called "I'm the Greatest Man in the World." That song alone is like 6 minutes long, and it changes in tone, and it gives you a little bit of the feel of this album. This album has an incredible range. I love it so much. It's my number one for just a simple reason that you don't see a lot of that innocence and vulnerability in the cover, and then you go into the album and also see it in there.
Wow.
It's a great album. I definitely recommend it. If you've never heard this album, especially Pinkerton, because it was literally their worst selling album. And I think I never broke like the Blue album, their first album did. I mean, it was the first. I mean, I don't know why they decided to go with colors afterwards. Maybe because they realized that, oh well, you know what, that Blue album was really popular. Let's come up with green, red, black, too. And that's what they did. But Pinkerton is a standout, and I think it's a standout from all the rest of them. Yeah, they have great songs in all their albums. This album, every song is great.
Wow. First thing I ever saw on the internet was Buddy Holly by Weezer. The first thing I ever saw on the internet. Yeah.
Isn't that a great video too?
It's fantastic. Yeah, it was in my top 10, the top 10 music videos. It was in my top 10 music videos.
It's a great video.
Yeah. This one band I've never really, again, looked into. I'm going to have to, because of the couple that I've heard of their stuff, I've really liked. And you sort of feel, well, if you like a couple of them, you should sort of like a lot of their stuff. So I will give that a little. Is that a good album to start with Weezer then, David? Or
what? Look, you can really grab any of the Color albums and be like, oh, they're gonna have poppy, like the Sun song that was in every movie in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
those are all really poppy. You're gonna find something good. This one has a lot of depth and meaning. He talks about loving a girl in high school and realizing that she was a lesbian, and his heart was broken, and not because she wasn't into him, but because he could never be the woman that she was looking for. That broke my heart. That was like, man, you can't change your body to make someone happy, but that was his thought. That literally broke my heart. I was like, dude, this guy is pouring his emotions and no one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
Wow. Go on then, Neil. You're number one.
So this was a debut album. I don't know whether David's heard of them. Marillion. Script for a Jester's Tear. It's Mark Wilkinson again, the same guy that did some of the Iron Maiden artwork. It's basically a jester stood in a pose, playing a violin in a lonely bedsit, we assume in London, with dirty mattress on the floor, posters from the day, the Melody Maker on the floor, and it's got a real melancholy feel to it. That the guy obviously is there to make people laugh, but is struggling with his own internal demons.
What's the name of the album?
Script for a Jester's Tear.
Okay, I'm gonna put it in because I never heard of them, and it sounds amazing.
It's very prog rock. I will give you that. The music. Some say a lot of Genesis vibes in the music, but the album cover I find fascinating to this day. It's I don't know, the image of the jester just appeals to me. Sad jester.
That's the one,
playing this video.
Okay, I'm saving this for me later because I'm a dive deep and see if I can find it.
It's a great album.
That's the first album I haven't heard.
Yeah,
heard of
so
that
it's a great gate if you get it. It's a great gatefold sleeve, and it opens up, and you'll see the whole scenario of what the front of the cover is telling you. Like I said, all about the bed sit, the dirty mattress, the fact that he's out of his sorts, a jester in this. I would assume, like I said, a London squalid bed sit, and it's quite a harrowing picture as well. But I love the picture of the jester. I'm still waiting on the tattoo artist to come back and show me what they've designed, because I am literally having that put on a sleeve on my arm. So
that is awesome.
Yeah.
That is amazing, Neil. Wow.
Yeah, I love the picture. All their artwork, the first 3 albums of their, I would highly recommend having a look at the artwork, if not listening to the music. They're fantastic because it's got the story. The next album's called Fugazi, and it's the jester again, but he's unmasked. He's not in the bed sit. He's made his way up in the world, and he's out, whether he's drugged or passed out, you tell me. Just great artwork. And Mark Wilkinson, like I said, if you've never seen it, I'm sorry to bang my microphone, but there's his book, and you can see, and I might be able to find a quick picture of his artwork. You know, things like Punch and Judy was one of their singles. The Jester's still there. It's a running motif all the way through, but that one image of the Jester on the album, to me, is just a beautiful image. It is here somewhere there. Yeah. So, and you can see the whole album then. It's got pictures from their singles and everything, the squalid mattress. I find you can still look at it. You know, I read like the Melody Maker that's sprawled across, because I used to buy the Melody Maker. I don't know whether you did, Pav, in this country.
No.
Yeah, I just think it's one of the greatest pictures I've ever seen. Genuinely. I'm always fascinated by it when I see it.
I like the depth in the room, and you could see the sunken mattress and the far away things on the wall. It gives you like a perspective of things are too far away to want to move or do anything. So I'm gonna lay here in bed. That's very powerful.
Yeah, very much like that. And like I said, it's the same artist that did a lot of the Iron Maiden artwork, and you can really tell once you look into it, you know, the intricacies of all the lines, the facial expressions, and what he's holding. But yes, David, check them out. I'm not saying you enjoy them.
Definitely, thank you.
Well, there you go. I feel like I'm far behind you two guys. You're far too deep and meaningful in this episode. My number 1 is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
But what's not to love about that
album?
There's
what's not to love, but it's
a great album.
It's not particularly original. I know that. It's about as iconic as you can get as an album cover. And I must admit, as we started this episode, I was looking at my top 10 and I was thinking, oh my God, maybe I should just be quiet and ask you questions rather than go through my top 10. Because it was
fun. I love the boobies one. That was the best comment I've ever heard. Yeah. I love this album because of boobies.
Well, I mean, what more do you want?
At least he's honest.
Exactly.
No. I'm applauding it because a lot of people look at that and think, well, someone put boobs on there. That's gross. No. Madonna was on there for a reason. She was showing that pose for a reason.
Exactly.
Sex it's not sells.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I'm not gonna take away from any of your choices. I mean, I think they were all great.
But going back to the Sgt. Pepper's, I didn't know whether you know, I found a fact out a few weeks ago about the Beatles, and John Lennon really wanted Hitler to be in the Sgt. Pepper's lineup.
Yeah,
I've heard that.
Yeah,
I never thought it was true, but if it is true, that's screwed up, man.
Yes.
Isn't it?
He was such a contrarian. He just wanted to be in everyone's, like the blister in the paw of a tiger. You know, he loved that.
Yeah. He loved that kind of stuff. Right, we had some honorable mentions. Stu Grant said Appetite for Destruction, News of the World. He's put Smells Like Teen Spirit, but I'm assuming he means Nevermind. Sgt. Pepper and Justice for All. Music.
And Justice for All is the very iconic Justice statue, the balancing Justice statue, where she's on. It's, if you've never seen it, definitely go look at it just to watch it. it was Metallica's version, their very operatic version of, we want to do heavy metal, but we want to make it artistic. That's the album.
Right.
And it's the first time their songs went up beyond 5 minutes. One, which is the opus of telling the story of mental illness outside of the military, is very cool, very amazing song. It's great. I have an honorable mention if I can.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, far away.
When we started this, the only album that I don't have that I wanted to list was a very, very important album because it's a compilation, and the last compilation the Beatles put out. It just says Beatles on it, and it doesn't have a name, but everyone calls it the Butcher Paper.
Right.
Why do they call it the Butcher Paper? Google it, you'll see there's two versions of it. There is the unwrapped and the wrapped. The wrapped Butcher Paper is them. I think it's Ringo sitting inside of a Foot Locker that was sitting up. So it was open, the door was open, and it was sitting up, and he's sitting inside of it like this, and the rest of the Beatles are around him. That's the wrapped version. The unwrapped Butcher Paper version of their last compilation that they ever did was a direct fuck you to the system, to anybody that believed that the Beatles was mandated to live forever and always come out with songs. They've purposely broke up because they hated the demand, and that album was them all sitting at a table with blood all over them and baby dolls butchered in front of them.
Yeah.
And it was their way of saying fuck the system. They actually, when it first came out, they wouldn't distribute it because they thought it was grotesque. And to me, in my head, I'm like going, wow, what year were you living in? Because they're just baby, like they're toy dolls. They're
the dolls.
They're toys. Yeah. And you can very easily say, okay, they look like toys. And they're laughing around it. Nobody looks at it's a joke. Obviously, it's a joke.
Yeah.
You know? And
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it now because I remember seeing it. I didn't realize this is the one that was released in America, wasn't it? Obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've all got big smiles on their faces, with like basically bits of doll parts all around them with meat and stuff. It is a weird album cover.
It's a very weird album cover, but it stood out to me. And there's one more honorable mention. I have it right here.
Yep.
Mephistopheles, the Satanic Chicken. This is the first. I mean, there's a lot of. You're just really surprised because there's a lot of them. Satanic ska band. And this is traditional ska, very little punk rock, very little rock, traditional ska music. But this album has songs like Saba Saba Saba, Rank and File. The name of the album is God Bless Satan.
Yeah.
And it's obviously a joke, huge joke. I have a shirt that has the sheep head and an afro made of fire because the lead singer is African American.
Right.
And it is fun and exciting and trumpets. And you're British, you guys obviously love ska. Every pop artist has a ska album in Britain. And it's true. Lily Allen, Amy Winehouse, all ska. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
And to listen to it, you're thinking, are they joking? And like, oh, they really are joking. It's an incredibly fun album. They don't get enough credit for what they do. They actually have a song called Satan Stole My Weed. That is one of the funnest songs I've ever heard in my life because he says it so earnestly. Satan stole my weed. And he says it so angrily. It's so funny. You have to laugh. Sometimes music is made for that.
Yeah.
Have a look.
That's
at
it.
that.
I'm done.
That's nice. Lisa Buchanan said, Rolling Stones, Sticky Fingers. My older sister brought this home. Being a good Catholic girl, I was a little surprised, but so curious. Couldn't wait to unzip it. At this one, Samantha said The Clash, London Calling, The Beastie Boys, Paul's Boutique, Lady Gaga's Born This Way. Jen Berg obviously said Sesame Street Fever, obviously. And at M Grinter 80 said Pantera, Vulgar Display of Power.
Vulgar Display of Power is a guy getting punched in the face.
I saw that for the first time today when I saw that. Oh my God, that is one hell of a photo.
It's a great album. That album makes you want to go drive fast somewhere.
Right.
David, I'll tell you now, Pantera will not be up Pav Street.
Oh, are they not my kind of thing then, Neil? No.
You couldn't even cope with Korn, let alone Pantera. So.
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
The Korn first album is very good to me. It's one of the first bands I ever remember hearing scat music. Like, he was like, you know, Mel Torme, Elephants.
Yeah.
The doo-doo, he does that in a weird grunting voice. Like, he does a version of that when he yells. It's incredibly weird, but it's also kind of hypnotic when you listen to it. Okay. It's very weird. But, you know, if you don't like the new metal thing, like, I mean, if you want something, like, War is very fun. Gore, if you ever listen to them, all their albums are blood splattered aliens that came from there, and they have these giant foam penises and monsters that come out on stage. When you go, expect to get blood splattered on you, because they have a very they destroy things. Go on Google, and look for it. Those albums are amazing. Metal has a very unwritten law of album covers.
Yeah. Isn't Gwar, didn't the lead singer have an appendage that hung right down to nearly the floor?
Yes, and he recently passed away like 2 years ago, and now there's a new singer who's incredibly obese and big guy, and he also has a huge appendage that comes out. But you have, it's an unwritten law that all metal albums have to have, you know, that obviously, you know, manic, you know, horrible monsters and satanic things, stuff like that. And you see, I mean, obviously, if you ever heard seen a Slayer album, there's upside down crosses. There's bands like Diaz where the lead singer actually burned an upside down cross onto his forehead. There's I mean, there's so much of it that's kind of like, yeah, we sing metal because of this. Trust me when I say this, most of it comes because all of these kids were in band when they were in high school, and they know how to play the violin, so they wanted to play the guitar, and they played the glockenspiel, so they end up playing the drums. And so they have a very deep-rooted history in opera and standards and big bands. So when you hear the metal, you hear the scratchy voice and stuff like that, but you also hear a very melodic, beautiful tones in the music. If you ever listen to the Dirty Crew, Motley Crue, if you ever listen to them, Tommy Lee, before he was a drummer, he played the accordion. Vince Neil, before he sang, he was in the choir and junior high school. Like all these big guys have a rooted history in something else. So you find something in it. And when you see that cover, and so we're here for the covers, and you look at it and you go, man, that's very grotesque, or I don't want that in my, image. Yeah. And you go inside and you hear a 15-minute solo that sounds like Flight of the Bumblebees. You can,
I guess, yeah. Well, it's been epic, David.
It's an epic one.
Absolutely epic. Thank you so much.
I told you guys to shut me up, but you didn't listen.
No, man. No,
it's all good. It's fascinating stuff.
No, before we actually say our goodbyes and everything, Neil, do you want to tell everybody how they can get in touch with us?
Yes, of course. You can find us on all the social medias at Top 10 Pods. That's TOPTEN Pods. Please do give us a like and a follow. Email us at top10pods@hotmail.com, where you can ask us anything or even suggest some top 10s yourself. Please come and help support the podcast at patreon.com/top10pods, where you can get rewards such as episodes super early. You could even get a chance to be on an episode yourself, like David here. Check out all of our links via LINKTREE. You can find the link in the show notes. And please come and subscribe. Leave us a rating and a review on wherever you get your podcast from.
Wonderful. Dave, please come back and do another one with us.
Yes.
We would absolutely love to have you back as an I
love horror movies. I love geek culture. I literally have an unopened Optimus Prime Transformer from the 1980s sitting up there.
Wow.
We will sort something out with you, David. It's been an absolute pleasure, David.
Look at that.
Look at
that.
And Troll, I'm a geek. I'm a just the biggest nerd you ever saw. So I could, whatever, any topic, you let me know.
We'll sort it out.
Yes, we will. Loads to choose from.
That's it from us now. We are just getting up to 2 hours. So congratulations, David. You are the longest episode we've ever had. So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Neil.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much, Pat.
Thank you very much to
you
both
again,
of you. I really
David.
appreciate it. If you ever wanted to start your vinyl collection, I have a group in Facebook called Hardcore Vinyl Collectors. Hardcore collectors, not hardcore music. There is a hardcore music, hardcore vinyl collectors, and we are obsessive about collecting in different colors. We have the same album in 10 different colors. We're weirdos. Come and see us. Thank you very much.
Well, if you can send us the link, David, I'll put that on the show notes so people can come and join you. No worries. Thank you very much, everybody, and let's go start the countdown.